طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Thank you very much for coming. Summertime is difficult time to make time. The weather is great and it comes after winter season, and all of you are very busy medical professionals. So you're probably waiting for this time of year for you to travel all the way from wherever you are and to make the time to come here. It shows that you have a connection, and that connection is with something special. And that part is being Sudanese, whether you're living in America or whether you're coming from Sudan or whether you have family behind. And hopefully what we're trying to do from SAMA, the whole idea behind it, is to try and build on that connection to make something meaningful. And thank you to all of you because you made this organization meaningful. Usually for the last 6 years I've been giving this presentation. And this time I'm going to make it a bit different. I'll be reflecting on where we started. And where we started was actually, very small steps. So I'm not a founding member. So the founding members include Izzeddin Saleh and Ali Nasr, who are present here. The remaining of them have all migrated to other places. So here you have Ihab Tarawa. Ihab Tarawa was one of the founding members. He was on the board of trustees until the end of last year. After he transitioned to Sudan, he helped really build up the visiting faculty program. He's medical director of Sadagat, and that was key in developing our relationship with Sadagat and key to the success that followed. And this is Bushra ibn Auf. He's in private practice in Fidel Hospital, and he's also active in the organization behind the scenes. This is Omar Al-Amin. He's an interventional cardiologist. He moved to Jeddah, and he's also active in the educational program of the of SAMA's cardiology program. And Ali Nasr is with us here today. He's in El Paso, Texas. So these 5 people actually just sat together in 2008 and decided to create an organization. The objective of this organization is to bring people together to do something meaningful for Sudan. Obviously, we built it on the background of other medical associations which made its primary target of advocacy. Our primary target is not advocacy. Our primary target is service. We measure our performance not by statements that we issue, but by tangible things on the ground. And I think, alhamdulillah, I'll show you how. The organization was registered in April 2008. This is our first meeting. 40 people showed up in Chicago. And then it continued to grow. We managed to get more and more people. Very much activating the social network. So the first meetings were always people from University of Khartoum who graduated in the mid-90s. That was kind of the demographic of people who came. And then as more people joined the organization, it diversified. And it continued to grow year after year. And we're very pleased that this year we had our largest turnout. May not look great, but remember, there's not a lot of us. And even most of us are in Michigan. So that's why we do it in Michigan, so that it makes it easier for people to come. And I think 130 online registration by fees, which are generally higher, shows that people believe in this organization. So that's one measure of success. Our programs are generally evolve around 3 things: professional development, which is supporting juniors. The second part is the visiting faculty program or educational activities, which really is bringing the finest American training to Sudan. The third is humanitarian, which is actually something we're going to widen the scope on and what we're working on. Essentially, it's bringing the best American surgeons to operate on the poorest children in Sudan. So the first one is professional development, and this is this photo kind of summarizes everything. Now there isn't, I don't know if you know about it, but there's a biblical verse, I am my brother's keeper. And it's actually an initiative which is propagated by Obama. The idea behind that is that everybody has an obligation towards their closest and dearest. For us in Sudanese culture, this is actually transcends completely at a different level. ما في خير في أهل ما في خير للناس. And this is something we believe and breathe and do every day. So what we try to do as an organization is actually to harness that energy, that love that we share with each other. And that is how it materialized in the professional development program. This is a picture of Abdullah Zarruq. He was previously in executive committee before he went to Doha, Qatar to chair the fetal surgery unit in Sidra Medical Center. This is Muhammad Ahmad Al-Haj, who's actually here today. He's now finishing his pathology residency in Case Western, Ohio. So where we started was very simple and very basic. So back in 2009, I did a Yahoo group. It's called Sudanese Doctors USA, and we were reviewing personal statements. Bushra ibn Auf then connected me to the rest of the executive committee. At that time, I don't think it had a name. It was just 5 people. So they sat together and decided, okay, you have a web group. It has 120 members. Why don't you join us? So I came, and I was reviewing personal statements for people. And many people, I still remember their names. Muhammad Jafar al-Hassan was somebody I reviewed his personal statement back in the 2009, 2010. So I continued to do this for 2 years. And after that, Muhammad Jafar al-Hassan, who I reviewed his personal statement, he started taking it over, and now he runs it. And we've been doing it year after year. It's very simple, very basic. Costs $200 if you do it commercially, free if you're from Sudan. And that's how the concept evolved and progressed. The next step was to do observerships. So observerships are more difficult than personal statements. You have to bring somebody into your own practice, develop them, and acclimatize them to the American culture. And the beginning was with Abdullah Zarouk, and he used to take a week. He used to take 20 or more every year, as you could see from these numbers. And that was the key. Our program, Professional Development Observerships, was Abdullah Zarouk. That's the bottom line. So when he left to Qatar, we took a hit. But then Ahmed Haidar came. Ahmed Haidar is an academic hospitalist in Indiana University, and he took it over and he grew with it. Instead of having one person doing observerships and a few helping out, now we have 4 or 5 attending, each taking 10 every year. And in 1 quarter, we changed the numbers. It's our best year, and we still have 6 months to go. And that's because we built on the same concept, and people built on that success and made it something better. The next idea, which is actually more recent, is actually research positions. And this is a completely different concept. Again, the pioneer was Abdullah Zarouk. He took people into Mayo Clinic. They would stay there for a whole year. They do a lot of research, and they go to the best places. So we had a 100% match rate, and a lot of them, probably more than 60% of them, ended up in positions in Mayo Clinic. So, and that is really, taking us to the next level. So then Abdullah Zarouk went to Qatar. So what's going to happen next? So then Ahmed Haidar comes in. And now we have 4 positions in University of Minnesota, University of Chicago, Meharry Medical College, and we no longer even, we still keep our numbers even if Mayo is not there. So again, this is an organization which builds from within. So that's why it's a generational concept. So that's the first program. The second program is the visiting faculty program, and the idea behind it is that most of us, to a certain extent, have trained in Sudan, and all of us, and we got trained, and we believe that we got well trained. We believe that we were trained by people who are first-class clinicians, may not be the most technologically advanced, but definitely have a very high clinical acumen. And then we came to America, and this is where we got the finest training in the world. So we feel it's an obligation on us to make sure that we give back to the motherland. And that's why we developed the visiting faculty program. Again, it's simple beginnings. We began by just a lecture, and it's very interesting when we think about how we started and where we're at now. When we started in April 2011, the very first lecture, it was a struggle just to get somebody to open the door of the lecture room. And that was a real struggle, just to find someone who can open the door to the lecture room in the training institution. Now it's a completely different story. Now people send you emails asking you to come and teach. And that's because people saw, they liked what they saw, and the closed doors opened. So we continued developing the program, and we continued to deliver the hours. And now our problem is not finding people to work with, it's finding people having time to teach and train during their vacations. So the key program, there's 2 key areas where we developed very large-scale programs, which we invested a lot of funds in developing, which I'll be talking about. So the first one was the Fundamentals in Critical Care Support course. This is a course which is delivered by the Society of Critical Care Medicine. The aims of this course is to train the non-intensivist to manage the acutely ill patient for the first 24 hours. And all of us know that in critical care, the first 24 hours are the time where you can change the outcome. And this is actually something which is delivered in the United States, costs about $1,000, highly valued course available in Qatar, in Saudi, and in Egypt. So our objective was to bring that to Sudan, because we know that we need that. It had to be sustainable, it had to be inexpensive, and it had to be very high quality, and obviously accreditation and delivery by the Saudi Critical Care Medicine will definitely safeguard quality. So then came the issue of expenses and sustainability. The good thing about the FCCS course is that you can train the faculty to become directors and instructors on the course. So that was our goal. Our goal is to establish the local faculty to deliver the course. Obviously, we have to make an upfront investment in terms of to achieve that goal. So we entered a cost-sharing partnership, and this is where we started developing our relationship with Sadaqat. Sadaqat managed to activate the local community in Sudan and the local donors in the form of a Nifedi group. So they paid everything inside Sudan. We pay everything at the US end. And we managed to send 3 missions over 3 years to Soba University Hospital. And Alhamdulillah, we've been successful. We managed to establish Soba University Hospital as a center for the FCCS course, bringing Sudan on the map of places where you can get an FCCS course, accredited by the United States. Ihab Tara was named the medical director of Sadaqat and the director of education in Soba University Hospital, and currently the deputy director of the hospital was named FCCS course director. So what does that mean? It means that when we used to fund the course by sending faculty from there, it meant that we did it once or twice a year at the maximum. But once you have local faculty, you can do it 4 to 6 times a year. So you're building volume, you're training more and more people, and you multiply how much you can do by about 6 times. The second and most important fact is reduction in cost. When you do the course in Sudan, generally there was always a fee, but that fee never covered the expenses of bringing faculty to Sudan. The fee was about $100, and that's mainly to cover the books and the license and so on. So now we managed to build an infrastructure in Soba where they can actually they do generate an income from it, which helps them sustain the hospital. So that was a major achievement. So that was the first part of our educational activity. The second part is the work that Al-Walid Ali is working with the International Society of Nephrology. Same concept, bringing the finest American training to Sudan. We wanted to be sustainable, inexpensive, and high quality. Again, we went into the same cost-sharing partnership, and we delivered the first nephrology course in renal transplantation with faculty from University of Colorado and UCLA. And these are the kind of the 2 programs where which we developed with American faculty. We do have other activities which are not accredited by big organizations, and these are the ones which are done by members in general. So this was a course that I gave. It's a mini course. We fashioned it around the cardiology board review courses that are done in the United States, and we gave it to the cardiology fellows in Sudan. And this was a picture taken in Shab Teaching Hospital we did earlier this year. The other aspect which we did is actually to act as a platform organization for other people who want to do work in Sudan. Not everything has to come from the executive committee. It doesn't have to be something that somebody brings on. If you're a SAMA member, you have an idea and you don't need SAMA to, you don't need SAMA's help. You have all the connections you need and you just want the platform. It is at your disposal. So this is a picture of Professor Alawiya, and she's here with Professor Warren from Hershey, Penn State, and they went to the Red Sea, and whatever SAMA can do to facilitate, SAMA will do. And this is everybody's organization. So this is one of the things we did. There was another picture, I didn't show it, Professor Fahal in Mycetoma Center in Soba University Hospital. He specifically asked us, I have this entomologist. Entomology is the science of insects. So it's an expert in insects, and he has specific skills in disease mapping. So he needed his help in developing programs for eradication of mycetoma. So he asked us to sponsor him, and he was actually of Egyptian origin. So what we did was we just sent an email to the members. This is a project. This is what Prof. Fahal wants. Airline ticket costs about $1,200. What do you guys think? And everybody donated. And sometimes, we get overwhelmed by your generosity, but this is, you make things happen because you give, and so that's why one of the things I think the organization should be is a platform for everyone, and we thank you for that. Now the other thing is surgical training. This is a picture of Dr. Abdullah Zarrouk participating in the neonatal surgery workshop in Soba University Hospital. Wherever there's a conference, they invite us, and they always invite us to participate, and our participation is very highly valued. People in Sudan look at us differently. In the past, in the early beginnings of the program, we felt that there was some degree of how should I put it, apprehension between people who come from outside and people who are working already in Sudan. But subhanAllah, we've been very lucky in that area. Everybody, we are very popular there. And I remember that I was with Sulafa Khalid Ali, and I was carrying some business cards. And we gave them a donation of a GEV scan. She told me, Sama doesn't need to be promoted. I mean, she specifically told me, don't do that. You don't need to do that. Everybody knows what SAMA is in Sudan. You don't need to promote it. And I think she was right. So then, just to move forward, because the other aspect of the education program is delivering programs outside Khartoum. This is a collaboration we developed with the University of Butana, which is a small university in a city called Rufaa. I'll be talking about this later in the afternoon session. But essentially what we did was to develop a basic life support course there. And we're going to be developing more courses as the partnership grows. And with Soba University Hospital providing the instructors. So I'll leave that till later. Now, our humanitarian program is probably, it's going to be talked about more in detail, but the idea behind it is to bring the finest surgeons from the United States to operate on children in Sudan. This was actually an educational activity which turned humanitarian based on the impact that it left on the patients. So this was the first team led by Haitham Al-Hadi, played a critical role and continues to in developing this program. They performed 21 operations. Okay, so you have Cincinnati Surgical Missions. This was the idea. We did the cost-sharing partnership before and after surgery, life-changing surgery in a child who comes min Atbara, and he's in the waiting list of the Khartoum Dental Teaching Hospital. So these are the people who we want to operate on. This is another child, the Sadiq, he's from West Kordofan. And this was the humanitarian impact which essentially became the focus of these missions. Transferring surgical skills, bringing Dr. Christopher Gordon, the senior craniofacial surgeon in Cincinnati Children's. Cincinnati Children's is number 3 in the United States. Operating with oral maxillofacial registrar from Khartoum Dental Teaching Hospital. It doesn't get better. And this is another picture of Professor Yakubov transferring surgical skills together with the orthopedic surgeon operating on a child who has a hand deformity and cannot use his hand, changing the life of the child and bringing the best training ever to Sudan. So how did we do it? Just the final slides. So generally there's 3 components that I look at which I think are critical in any success. The first thing is we work together. So, this is not exactly very high on our culture, but this is something probably acquired after we came here. The third thing, dedication, we work hard. Physicians generally work hard. They're very hardworking, so we already have that component. The third thing is humility. We don't have a hierarchy. I might be nasty on emails, Some people have had, but I think that's part of my job description. So, one of us has to be the mean guy. Izzeddin is a nice and mellow, and Al-Walid is a mellow guy, and Ashami is the guy who puts out the problem, puts out the fires, So everybody has a role, but really we don't have a hierarchy. And we work together. So thank you very much.